Hey everyone, this is Ulysses and I want to show you some pretty cool and pretty advanced stuff in terms of the key metrics that you should and you can use as a business owner, whether you're a trainer currently or whether you're a coach or whether you are thinking of being a trainer or a coach. So here are some of the key metrics that you can use in your marketing campaign to know exactly what they are, because once you know what they are, you are able to see very clearly from a bird's eye view what are the things that needs to be tweaked, and then you can scale up exponentially. So here's the thing about metrics is that most business owners, they don't track any form of metrics. So here is the biggest issue of all business. And if they do track any metrics, the only two things that they most likely will track are only the cost and the profit. So basically from the cost to the profit, and these are basically the two things that they track if they do track any metrics. So here's the thing. There are many things that are happening in between along the way of your business. So if you are only tracking these two metrics, you are missing out potentially a lot of things that you can actually adjust and scale your business. Does that make sense? So here is what we want to do here today is that I want to introduce to you all the things that are potentially be useful in your business for you to track as a business owner. So by now, you should know that I strongly advocate funnels. And why funnels? Because once you have a funnel, you are able to know exactly at which stage you are not optimizing properly, at which stage of your funnel that it is failing you, you're not getting the end results that you want, and be able to make the tweaks from there. So let's take a look at this really simple funnel. So most of us we will have a opt-in page, right? We will have an opt-in page to collect leads. So over here, we talked about opt-in page before. We talk about offering them some freebies so that they will give us their contact details. So once they give us their contact details, they will actually become a lead, right? So this is a lead that we are able to sell them something, right? So in this process, this is what I call the leads conversion stage. Right? So after becoming a lead, so what is the next thing that we want to actually achieve with them is that obviously we want to turn them into a paying customer. All right. So this is pretty much the very simple process that all business adopts. All right. So if you're a trainer, you're a coach, this is pretty much that you do day in, day out, or trying to get leads and trying to get leads into from a lead to a customer. So this is what I call the sales conversion. All right, does that make sense? So once you have a funnel, you are able to see at which stage you are not optimizing properly. So here are some of the pretty cool metrics that I want you to know. And this is exactly what I do for almost all products that I launch out there. And this is exactly what I will track very closely. In fact, for any new product launch, I will stick my eyes onto the screen 24/7 for almost a few weeks, just looking very closely at all these metrics, right? So before you start off any campaign, you want to know exactly what is what I call the average order value of a customer. This is what I call it as a AOV, right? AOV. So the average order value of a customer depends on what you are selling. If you are selling a digital product, maybe it's a $47 product, whether is it a $997 product, whether is it a $1,000 product, and that is the average order value of your customers for that product, right? If you are selling a live event, a live training, a 2 days training that you price it at say $1,500, so the average order value of a customer is $1,500. That's for example, right? So let's take, for hypothetical purposes, we have a average order value in this case of say a live training event, all right, at $1,000. So this is really for easy visualization at $1,000. So the next thing that I like to also establish is the cost per acquisition. So some of you who are already spending money on advertisements, you will find these terms very familiar, right? This is what we call the CPA, right? The cost per acquisition. And the cost per acquisition is basically what it costs you to acquire the lead, Right? Yeah, I mean the customer, the cost for you to incur to acquire the customers. And the ratio that I like to keep, that is for my own marketing campaign, and it's worked very, very well for me. The ratio that I like to keep the cost per acquisition to the average order value is at the ratio of 1:2. So which means that I like to have half of what my average order value of is to acquire a customer. So in this example, if my average order value of per customer is $1,000, average order value of per customer is $1,000, I want to spend up to half of the amount to acquire this customer. So that will be at $500. So I keep a very healthy profit of, for example, 100% profit in terms of my earnings. So just to take note of is that if you need to incur expenses in delivering their products, so most of the time, let's say if you're doing a live training event, you will need to incur expenses on logistics, food, printing, so on and so forth. So you want to minus the cost out from this CPA amount, right? So for simplicity's sake, I'm not going to do that. So just know that if you have those expenses that you need to incur to deliver that product, you want to minus them out so that it makes a lot more sense. So over here in this example, I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to have a very simple $500 to $1,000 ratio, 1:2. So after these two metrics are being established, I want to look at what is the acceptable conversion for my leads. So if I have an opt-in page, I drive traffic to this opt-in page. I tell everyone, the whole world, that I have a product, I have something that I want to offer to you. I have a lead magnet over here, opt-in page. So once they opt in into this page, they become my leads. So over here, I like to keep a conversion of around 20%. Right, that is for me. Some people, they like to go for 30%, 35%, even 50%, 70%, all this crazy ratio, which is all achievable by any means. So I want to keep it conservative. I like to make sure that, you know, I'm able to work within this set of key metrics that I have set up for my campaign. So I like to go for something conservative. It's around 20%. You should actually go for at least 20% as well. If you are having a very good opt-in page, you will see conversion from cold audience into your leads, something like 30%, 35%, 40% kind of range is all very possible. So for discussion purposes, I'm just going to be stating over here at 20%. This is the metric that I use personally anyway. All right. So from a lead into a sale, all right. So people that comes onto your list, how many people will actually buy your product at the end of the day? I have a very conservative ratio as well over here, which is at 1%. All right, some of you may be asking, what? Ulysses, I have 100 people that I have them onto my list and only one person buy. Well, once again, we are talking about volume over here. So this is pretty much the kind of statistics that I like to hover around. I like to play around. So it is up to you, but I do highly recommend that if you do not have any metrics in the first place to start off with, you may use this as a baseline. So I like to keep my sales conversion at the range of 1%, although sometimes it's possible to go higher than that to 1.5. 2% is possible, but we need to have a very strong, process over here to make that happen. So I like to keep my sales conversion at around 1%. So which means that 100 leads that I have on my list that I generate from the campaign, one of them will buy. Does that make sense? All right. So over here, what is going to be the next thing that we really want to establish is the number of leads. Take a look at this. The number of leads that I need to have in order to have one customer. So assuming that my sales conversion is at 1%, I need to have 100 leads. Am I right to say that? So I need to have 100 leads so that at the end of the day, one of them will be a customer. So take a look at this. So for how much can I spend for 100 leads to come onto my list? It is going to be $500. This actually comes from here, $500. All right. So what is the cost per lead in this case? This is another key marketing metric. So if you are already doing, advertising on platforms such as Facebook, you will and you should. I hope you already are very familiar with all these metrics that I'm talking about. So cost per lead over here is essentially how much money that I spend to generate this lead. So I have a cost per lead of $5. So I can spend up to $5 to acquire one lead over here, right? So you guys following me so far? So what is the next thing that we want to establish is that how many clicks that we need to have in order to have 100 leads. So over here in this conversion ratio that we are looking at a 20% conversion. So we need to have 500 what we call clicks. So when we have 500 clicks, 20% of them opt in, that gives us 100 leads. Make sense? So what is the total cost that we can spend on these 500 clicks? Exactly is the same thing as over here, $5, $500, sorry, because essentially that is the same cost per acquisition. And what is the cost per click that I can afford up to in this campaign will be $1. So now take a look at this, that I can afford up to 500 clicks at $1 each to turn them into 100 leads, and eventually one of them will buy. And this is based on a conversion of 20% and 1% over here. So what does all this mean at the end of the day for us when we are actually embarking on any form of marketing campaign? Is that we need to know exactly all these key metrics, especially the cost per lead and the cost per click, because I can go onto Facebook right now and find out my target audience and tell Facebook that, hey, I want to spend up to $1 per click to acquire clicks to my opt-in page. All right, so that is the kind of optimization, instead of just going out there and putting out the marketing campaign and letting it run by itself without knowing exactly what is going right or what is going wrong. So if it goes right, most of the time we are happy and we don't really care about anything else. But what about the times that it's not going right? That is what happens most of the time. We want to know exactly at which stage is failing us, at which metrics should we actually work to improve on, right? So once I have all these key metrics, I can right now optimize my marketing campaign accordingly to my key metrics and know exactly I can spend up to $1 for a click in any social media platform. I can spend up to $5 to acquire a lead, right? Irregardless of what kind of marketing campaign I'm driving, so that I know that I can have up to $500 to acquire customers in order to earn $1,000 from that customers. All right. So here is the key metrics that I hope has brought you a lot of value over here today. If you are already familiar with this, that's very good. Keep on the good work. If you're not familiar with all this, I highly recommend that you start looking at key metrics, because that is like the health check of your business, of your marketing campaign, right? So once again, this is Ulysses, and I hope today we have brought so much value to you and you enjoyed today's video training. And if you have any questions, hit me up and I will be glad to respond to you accordingly. So once again, thank you very much and take care.